Disclaimer: the following program is designed to offend, provoke, and challenge your religious sensibilities. It contains content that will likely offend anyone who holds religion sacred. This is for those with thick skin or a taste for the harsh truth. If you're easily offended or cherish your religious views, please turn off now. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. You have been warned. You've probably heard this argument before. Just believe in God. If you're right, you win everything. If you're wrong, you lose nothing. It sounds clever, right? It's not. It's not philosophy. It's not logic. It's a psychological threat which only masquerades as reason. Believe or burn, bet on God, or risk eternal torture. That's not an argument, that's faith at gunpoint. And the guy who wrote it, he literally tells you to fake belief until your brain gives up. So today, we're going line by line through Pascal's wager and showing you why it's not deep, not brilliant, and not worth betting your soul on. This isn't a wager, it's spiritual blackmail, and it's time we called it what it is. As a side note, before we start, if you want to read the whole thing for yourself, I'll link to the translation used from Gutenberg.org down below in the description. Most browsers support holding Ctrl+F and searching for 233. That's where Pascal's wager comes into play. All right, Pascal starts off with a power move. He drops the words infinite and nothing, then jumps into a dramatic origin story about the soul being cast into a body. Once you land in this mortal shell, you discover math and time and assume that's reality. Humans doing math isn't evidence of some cosmic cage, it's just counting. Here's Pascal trying to dazzle you with infinity to sneak in his main pitch about trading genuine conviction for a heavenly insurance policy. Because 1 plus infinity still equals infinity, which is a big revelation. Now, how does that connect to believing in a resurrected deity? It doesn't, but it sounds lofty, so let's all act impressed. And let's not forget the main view here. Pascal's wager assumes there's only one god on offer. What about Zeus, Odin, or every other contender in the pantheon? If you're forced to choose blindly among 1,000 possibilities, your bet isn't 50-50 anymore, it's a lottery system. But this is Pascal's usual trick. Remind you how small you are, then sell you a way out. It's fear conditioning with a holy facade, crush your ego, then offer a fix. You're nothing, God is everything, and you'd better line up for salvation. This is the same argument used in countless cult manuals: shame the individual, then promise them eternal salvation and safety. God's justice is infinite, but when he trashes people he doesn't like, that's just less infinite. So don't get offended when God punishes the outcast. You're supposed to be more bothered by him being too nice to his favorites. That's where Pascal sets the moral bar. Then he jumps back into his infinity obsession. He says, we know infinity exists because numbers don't stop, but then admits we have no idea what it actually is. Not odd, not even, not anything, just undefined. Then he calls it a number anyway. This isn't proof of anything. It's complete math gibberish that he's trying to dress up as a psychotheology. And somehow, from this confusion, Pascal concludes, so we may well know that there is a God without knowing what he is. No, you just said we don't understand the thing you're using as your comparison. That's not insight. That's trash, much like the Bible is trash. Then he ends with, is there not one substantial truth, seeing there are so many things which are not the truth itself? So he's saying lots of stuff are false, therefore something must be true, therefore God. That's not an argument, it's a shrug with a halo on it. So this is just a headache with no actual evidence. We get a zillion words on infinity and a rhetorical there must be a God, but not once does he supply anything like tangible proof. It's all smoke and mirrors. If you want to slip a deity in, just start talking about numbers and hope nobody notices. You literally have no argument. All right, he continues in his argument by saying, we know the finite because we're finite. Then claims we know the infinite exists even though we don't understand it. Then immediately admits we know neither the existence nor the nature of God. So you know it exists, but you also don't, which is great. Then comes the bailout, but by faith we know his existence. That's it. That's the trick. When logic collapses, just slap faith on it and pretend it holds up. You can't prove God exists, but if you believe hard enough, now he does. And just to close the loop, Pascal adds, you can know something exists without knowing what it is, which is true, but he's not talking about static electricity or dark matter. He's talking about an all-knowing being who punishes non-belief. That's a little different. By the way, if there's really a God, then he's not stupid. If he's truly omniscient, he'd see right through any forced rituals and watery proclamations of faith. Yet Pascal's plan is basically to outsmart an all-knowing deity with mindless church attendance. That's not faith, it's a hustle. Now we're switching to natural light, which means turning logic off and calling it deep insight. If there is a God, he's infinitely incomprehensible. So let's guess anyway. Pascal says the question is too big for us, and that is supposed to justify his next giant leap, which is the 50-50 coin flip. Then he scolds anyone who wants proof. We said it's foolish, so we can't prove it, or we'd break our own rule. It's the perfect dodge, basically. If it's complete nonsense, you can't demand sense from it. Finally, he sets up God is or he is not, the classic coin toss. Except that's bad math. Two possible answers doesn't mean each has a 50% chance. If you tried that everywhere, you'd be paralyzed by a million imaginary what-ifs. This isn't philosophy, it's panic in a fancy little panicky outfit. Now, Pascal says, don't blame people for choosing a side because nobody really knows. Then he quotes the objection that maybe we shouldn't pick at all. His answer? You must wager. It is not optional. The cosmic casino doesn't allow you to sit it out. He then claims you're wagering your reason, will, knowledge, happiness, and so on. But if you choose God and win, you get it all. If you lose nothing. That's nonsense. You can lose your self-honesty, your clarity, and a good chunk of your life going through rituals you don't believe. That's far from nothing. People literally live their lives by this. It's absolutely nuts. And he never considers the possibility that maybe God hates gamblers, the kind of God who punishes you for trying to bluff your way into heaven. That scenario doesn't show up in Pascal's neat little philosophical chart here. Now here, he switches it up. He goes into full damage control here. People point out the risk is real and the gain is uncertain, so he uses a paragraph of muddled probabilities to say it's still rational to bet. He's mixing up normal gambling where you stake finite money with an all-or-nothing loyalty to an unseen deity. Earlier he said reason can't handle this. Now he acts as if it's all mathematically solid. Which is it? If math can't solve the question, spare us the probability lecture. He ends with, this is demonstrable. And if men are capable of any truths, this is one. In other words, if you doubt him, you're just not cut out for real truths. He also glosses over the too many unknowns problem. Even if this were great logic, you have no clue which God to wager on, what he actually wants, or whether he punishes people for opportunistic worship. This argument never bothers to check those details. Here's my favorite part of this whole thing. Finally, someone asks, I can't just force myself to believe, so now what? Pascal's cure? Don't look for better evidence, just suppress your desires, then fake belief until it sticks. Ritual after ritual, and soon enough, you'll numb any pesky logic that holds you back. Sincerity is kind of important if you're dealing with an all-knowing God, but Pascal's method is act like you believe, and you'll dull your mind into compliance. If there really is a deity, maybe he prefers honest confusion over choreographed lip service. Pascal never addresses that. And here's a quote you can take home to mom. Even this will naturally make you believe and deaden your acuteness. Yes, kill your thinking. That's the winning strategy. You lose your honesty, your willingness to say, I don't know, and basically everything that makes belief genuine. Now comes the sales pitch. No harm, he says, if you take this side. You'll be honest, humble, grateful, like that magically appears once you agree to his bet. You'll lose poisonous pleasures, but gain something undefined. Trust him, it's better. He calls the risk nothingness, as if faking faith under cosmic threat is cost-free. In reality, you can lose a lot. Your critical thinking, your ability to be forthright about what you believe, and actual hours of your life serving a deity you might not even accept deep down. Then he wraps up with, this discourse transports me, charms me, plus a note about how he prayed before and after writing it. It's emotional flourish, not logic. It's a rhetorical lullaby to make you forget that every step of his argument has been an ultimatum with no actual evidence. And that's Pascal's wager in all its glory, a forced coin toss, ignoring the hundreds of other possible gods, telling you it's cost-free to hand over your mind and insisting that if you're really smart, you'll fall in line. If that's what counts as a brilliant argument, then we've just watched reason get led to the gallows while Pascal calls it a victory. So there it is. The grand argument. Believe in God, not because it's true, not because there's evidence, not even because it makes sense, but because the penalty for not believing might be eternal fire. This wasn't a defense of God. It was a sales pitch, dressed in fear, wrapped in math, and aimed straight at your survival instincts. Fake it till you make it is not a pathway to truth. It's the onboarding script for a cult. And Pascal, he didn't just admit this, he celebrated it. He told you to kill your doubts, drown your questions, and do the rituals until you finally shut up and call it faith. That's not philosophy. That's psychological surrender. And worst of all, it pretends to be humble while demanding you bet everything on a single God in a sea of thousands. No names, no evidence, no clarity, just fear and silence dressed up as enlightenment. So if someone ever throws Pascal's wager at you again, because I constantly see this in the comment section, these people actually think this is some kind of massive mic drop in the comments, remind them that threats aren't arguments, fear isn't truth, and belief under duress isn't belief, it's compliance. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, unless you're already busy faking belief to avoid infinite punishment, in which case, good luck with that. Pascal's rooting for you.